Oh, start from the beginning? All right, let's do it again. Welcome, everybody. Today is our we're covering ADHD. So if you want to, I don't know, subscribe, you should do that if you like the stuff. Today we're going to be talking about optimizing ADHD, what ADHD looks like in relationships, dating, all sorts of stuff like that. I would also say that if you want to stick around until the end, you should, because we're going to be covering people's questions that have been sent to me from online. And Dr. Vincent Barbieri also got some. Had to call him by his doctor's name. Just Vinny. It's good.
No, doctor to you.
Big Vinny. Also, I have a quick story to help people understand what it's like to have ADHD to start us off. So I want you to picture that there's 3 boxes of awareness in front of you. Above you, you have your working memory. That's just basically all the stuff that you can hold in your brain, 7 plus or minus 2 chunks, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the stuff you're worried about. On the right side, you have your things you're actively working on. So that's the stuff you're on the phone with an insurance agent and you're talking to them, and sometimes that can be dysregulating, or you're just actively solving a puzzle, whatever that looks like. And then on the left side, you have what I call the abyss, which is basically whatever you're just dumping outside of your awareness for the moment. It's the stuff you put on a to-do list or that you just trust your unconscious to bring back into your awareness. It can be dysregulating and increase your heart rate to have a whole lot of stuff going on in those top 2 boxes when it comes to your working memory and the action box. That's why it feels good to get things done, and it feels bad to be struggling to finish things. And it also can feel good to just dump things off and put it on the abyss if you know that it's going to be resolved later. The reason I bring up these boxes of awareness is because with ADHD, that working memory box is cut in half. So now you have much less to work with when it comes to what you can hold. Your mind can kind of feel like this container that's holding information that it can just drip because there's like a hole in it. So what a lot of people with ADHD do is they make a judgment call. Do I lean more towards taking action very quickly, compensating by just taking notes so that this box can just stay filled up, sort of creating external sources of working memory? And then some people with ADHD really lean heavy into the abyss of just tossing information out, allowing external reminders to remind them, whether it be a to-do list or things like that. Or some people really build a ton of acceptance around the symptoms and just leave things in the abyss and hope that things pop back into their awareness. So that's generally what I would say it's like to have ADHD. Everybody compensates in their own way. And so as listeners, if you think you have ADHD, you can ask yourself, how do I use these 3 boxes? And then take it to therapy and have fun with that.
That's good. Did you just think of that?
No, I use that analogy like every day with both clients and just friends.
And yourself?
And enemies. I don't.
That's cool. I like that. So the half thing, is that like, if it's 7 plus or minus 2, is it like 3.5 plus or minus 2?
Plus or minus 1.
Oh, plus or minus.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's trippy. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people with ADHD have sort of like this very like polarized kind of lifestyle where you can see someone with ADHD seem like the most nervous when they're doing something, and then also see them to just be in this sense of like flow state and completely calm out of nowhere. And it's because it's like, unlike people who are neurotypical, people with ADHD feel like they have to they don't have the ability to turn on this sense of I can. Like, I mean, even with like getting ready for podcasts or things like that, I feel like I have this information in my head, and there's things that I'm like, I so hope that I get a chance to cover this, and this. But you sort of with ADHD have to just trust your unconscious because you're sort of at its control. But with ADHD, you also can go into that flow state, so it creates a sense of anxiety sometimes before you do something that you know you have to prepare for, because you're like, I don't know who's going to come out to participate today.
So you're waiting to you're like kind of waiting for inspiration, but sometimes it doesn't come. Have you ever, okay, I have a question for you. Do you feel like when you have interviews, or in the past when you've had to do interviews, that you over prepare, under prepare, or like, is that not a thing for you?
100% over prepare.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, same with my wife. So you're compensating by being like extra prepared.
Yes, definitely. It's because we were like, I got to make sure that my because the benefit of ADHD is that you are very habitual. So if you practice a lot, you are sort of creating this habitual creature that can come out at any moment. That and sometimes even your panic response can be a very efficient response because you're like, I've done this over and over again.
See, I feel like this is the better way to navigate ADHD in the context of performance is by over preparing. I mean, it sucks that you have to put more energy into it than the average person, but I feel like this is a way around the negative impacts of ADHD in performance. I feel like the flip side of that though is like, okay, so when you over prepare, you create an environment for improv and flexibility and kind of like thinking off the cuff. You create that environment because you have this ground of concrete foundation because you know all the things already, right? Like you create the freedom by having a prepared response. But I feel like the flip side of this, some people with ADHD almost rely too much on the freedom response and don't have the foundation, but they don't prepare. And so they lean too heavily on the like in the moment presence and it doesn't really serve them.
Yeah. I mean, that's why so many people that are neurotypical or whatever, like get so annoyed with people with ADHD. They're like, you seem like you have the ability and yet you show up so unprepared. And then you pop up and you make something that could have been an email or a lot shorter turn into a giant story with 5 analogies that didn't necessarily need to exist. And that's because with ADHD, it's like, if you don't come prepared and you're someone that is more comfortable with existing, let's say more anxiously attached, for example, then it's very likely that you're going to just be pulling people in the places that you don't necessarily need to. And then you look back like how much time has passed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you create that structure, like you're saying, you can reel it back a bit, have a plan and then go from there.
Don't you think though that like preparing, so I remember when I got out of like my first master's program, I had like 20 interviews and I didn't get any job because I didn't prepare at all for any of them.
Okay.
I was like, I'm just going to wing every single one of them. And I didn't get any of those jobs.
That's such a you thing.
I know. And, but then I like started preparing and I got a job, but I remember thinking like, it's kind of anxiety inducing to prepare because it's almost more vulnerable to try and fail than it is to fail without trying.
Wow. Yeah. Because, I mean, automatically you could think, oh, it's more vulnerable to just exist. But really, it's like if you prepare, then you know that you put your heart and soul in that, and then they didn't accept you, which can be hard. So you don't prepare for interviews?
No, I prepare now. I prepare now. I mean, I didn't prepare when I was 22.
I see.
But I prepare now.
Good. What other stories or random things you got about ADHD? Or do you like people with ADHD?
I'm not a fan of them.
No?
No.
You don't like our viewers.
You said that so sincerely. No.
I can't control my facial expressions or reactions.
Well, I feel like when most of the people with ADHD that I interact with tend to be more on the inattentive side. So that's kind of more of my, like those are the ones that are more reflective, I think. You know, hyperactive ADHD, they're just so in their world. They're just like constantly moving that there's not a lot of like self-reflection often with the hyperactive type.
Yeah, I could totally see that. People that are more in their head. I mean, that makes me think about like people are trying to figure out like how to optimize ADHD. So many people that are more inattentive can have so much passion about doing something, and yet they find themselves running into walls. And so I think the solution that a lot of people with ADHD run into is, or start to create for themselves is, I don't want to fall on my face anymore. So I need to optimize everything about my life.
Mm-hmm.
And those people can be very successful. Like I've seen a lot of people with ADHD that optimize their lifestyle, whether it comes to creating like external to-do lists, all sorts of things to keep them on track. And they get these huge dopamine hits when it comes to success. So, but it also makes them really fun people to talk to because you're like, you've trialed and errored in your mind so much, and it's really cool.
Well, there's the vulnerability. I think you can't really optimize without the intention of being vulnerable too, because I feel like with ADHD, you're constantly brushing up against the potential for discouragement. I think a lot of people with ADHD, it's like there almost develops a fear of discouragement because you're always